Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the video for our next class. We're going to be covering Army Leader Self-Development. So let me know how this method of delivery works. If you like it, great. If not, let me know. We'll come up with something else. So, Army Leader Self-Development. There are 4 learning objectives that we want to hit in this block of instruction. The first, identify what it is and where it fits into the overall Army plan for leader development. Second, we want you to be able to analyze your own strengths and weaknesses so that you have a better idea of what areas you need to develop. Third, we want to be able to set the conditions for you to develop goals that are necessary for your self-development. And then fourth, we want to give you some examples, some methodologies that can be used for self-development. So before we go into the self-development piece, we're going to take a quick overview of the Army Leadership Development Model. We covered this briefly in the block of instruction on training, but we're going to hit it again just so you can appreciate where the self-development piece fits in the overall plan. First thing is, the first domain is the institutional Army. That's pretty much where you are now. The undergraduate, getting your degree as an undergraduate in the ROTC program, that's part of the institutional domain. The next phase, BOLC B, your officer basic course, that also fits into the institutional domain. The commonalities here are that the institutional domain is A, driven by the Army, and B, it tends to focus on those leadership fundamentals that are required across the entire Army and all units within each level or pay grade. So when you go to BOLC B, what you're going to be learning are the leadership fundamentals required for a second lieutenant. When you go to the captain's career course, you'll do that either as a senior lieutenant or a junior captain. That's going to focus on what you need to be successful as a captain and as a company commander. Subsequent institutional educational opportunities will occur for intermediate level education as a major and with the War College as a 06. So those are the things that fall into the institutional domain. All right, so the next element of the Army Leadership Development Model is the organizational domain. As you can see right here, the key thing there is this is the teaching, coaching, and mentoring that goes on when you get to your operational units out in the field. So the key driver of this, unit leader responsibility. It's your local commanders, both your raider and your senior raider, that are responsible for developing you within the organizational domain. Now, with this, what you're focusing on is, whereas the institutional domain focuses on those common leadership requirements across a wide breadth of the Army, the organizational leadership piece focuses on those specific requirements for that unit, for your specific job and in the specific environment that you're operating. So this is really where the teach, coach, and mentor comes in. All right, so now we're going to move on to the self-development piece. Very quickly, we're going to hit these major points right here. So number one, with self-development, it's your responsibility. Unlike the Army that's responsible for working the institutional domain, and unlike your direct supervisors, they're responsible for implementing the organizational domain, you're responsible for your self-development throughout your professional career. One of the things that self-development really, that you've got to hit on with this is it is a process. It is a program. It is a way of thinking and living. Think of it in terms of physical fitness. You don't go out and take a PT test every once in a blue moon and that's it. Your exercise regimen and your physical fitness regimen is part of a program that enables you to be fit and be able to execute the mission that you need to be able to do. Self-development is largely the same. If you're going to be a leader, you're going to be a lifelong student, and you're going to be a lifelong teacher. So self-development is essentially how you implement that. As I stated earlier, it's your responsibility, no one else's. So there are 4 components that really go into this. The first, you've got to identify your strengths. Second, identify your weaknesses. Now we're going to do a drill on Monday that'll help you with that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now. The other two things that you've got to take into account in coming up with your self-development program: what is the mission of the unit that you're in right now, or what is the mission of the unit or the organization that you would like to be in. Those will help drive some of the things, some of the factors and decisions that you'll make regarding your self-development. And then closely tied to that is the environment that you're in. So, real quick example. So as these are linked together, your strengths and weaknesses are not necessarily static. They may change based on your mission, based on your environment, just based on changes in you over time. So, for example, you score 295 on your PT test. That's pretty good in ROTC. That's pretty good when you get to BOLIC B. When you get to a regular line unit, 295, that's probably still a strength of yours. You decide you want to go to Ranger Regiment. You put it in your packet, you get accepted, you go down to the 75th. Having a 295 for your PT test probably is no longer a strength. Why? Your environment and the unit to which you're assigned has changed. So you've got to reassess what you need to do to develop yourself to shore up what once was a strength that now might be considered a weakness. That's an example. With self-development, one of the key benefits of it is it will markedly increase your overall job satisfaction, because you're going to be able to focus and study on things that you want to do, that are going to make you more effective in the job that you're doing right now, that will set you up for a job that you might want in the future, and it just keeps you mentally sharp. So, examples and methods of self-development. There are many. Some of them the Army implements as essentially official programs that you will be engaged in. So there's a lot of the online training that you can do would fall into self-development. There are other things that you can do. So, for example, if you decide to take master's classes on your own, that would fall in with this. Even something much less formal, for example, listening to podcasts, doing professional reading outside of the standard news media. So if you're an intelligence officer, for example, reading Stratfor reports or foreign affairs, foreign policy, getting into some of the more detailed readings on your area of expertise, that falls into self-development as well. So we're going to discuss this much more in depth on Monday when we meet down at the coffee shop. And until then, if you've got any questions, you know where to find me. And I'm off to see the Ranger Challenge team. We'll see you on Monday.